Welcome back to another edition of Dark Powerrr, where we talk about everything that happens on AEW Dark Elevation and NWA Powerrr. This is a supersized edition of Dark Powerrr, as we're going to be covering 2 weeks of shows. Part of the reason is because there just really hasn't been that much that's been happening on NWA, and particularly when it comes to AEW and Dark. There have been some great matches, but obviously we haven't had a lot of storyline advancement. But let's get into it, guys, and we'll talk about everything that's happened over the past 2 weeks. All right, guys, and welcome back after the intro. Thank you once again for being a subscriber to our YouTube or being part of our Patreon. If you are, $3 is the entry-level tier. We thank you for all the support that you guys give us when you like, comment, share, subscribe, all the different things that you guys do to show us that you support us. We support you guys right back. That's why we make these videos. That's why we have all the different series and shows that we have here as part of the True Heel YouTube channel. So, like I was saying, there hasn't been that much that's been happening on NWA. A couple storylines kind of have been just kind of treading water, so to speak. But before we get into that, let's get through Dark, because Dark, while it doesn't have storyline advancement, did have some good quality matches. And that started with one thing that jumped out at me, which was when Orange Cassidy took on JD Drake. This was over 9 minutes long of a match, and it was a really solid match. JD Drake doesn't get the opportunity to work longer form matches that often, and somebody like Orange Cassidy doesn't necessarily have longer matches unless he's just basically getting his ass handed to him for most of the match and just has his little kind of comeback if he's going to win. And that's kind of what this match is, but because it has that 9-minute mark, it's 9 minutes and 4 seconds long, it does give both guys an opportunity to work more. And JD Drake is able to show off a lot of what brings him to the dance. As somebody who has seen him perform live as part of freelance wrestling, he was freelance tag champion for a good bit of the time that I was able to go. Hopefully we'll be able to go back to more freelance shows now that things are opening up a little bit more. When it comes to if you've been vaccinated, he was in a tag team with Anthony Henry, who I believe was released recently by the WWE, and I'm kind of hoping to see them reunite the Workhorsemen, which is the name of the tag team, and really get their feet wet. I know that Anthony Henry has come back. He will be at a freelance show. I think the next Warrior show is going to see the two of them as the Workhorsemen taking on the Briscoes. Hopefully we get to see Anthony Henry show up in AEW. The Wingmen kind of story or faction or group, whatever you want to call it, really hasn't gone anywhere. And with rumors of Peter Avalon getting close to his release date on his contract and AEW letting his contract expire maybe, this could be a perfect time to bring somebody like Anthony Henry in, and you get a tag team. This tag team division has been really, really stacked and loaded, and maybe the Workhorsemen would just be another brick in the wall, so to speak. But I think that they'd be able to bring something interesting to the table, and they'd be a good team just because of, if you know anything about the two of them, obviously JD Drake is a powerhouse. Anthony Henry is a much smaller, has the agility kind of move set, and you pair them together, they provide a good counterbalance. It's very similar to a Jungle Boy and the Luchasaurus. Well, that's a pretty good comp. Obviously, I wouldn't say that they're as good as Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, but they have the ability to put on those style of matches. And another style of match that really always speaks to me is a classic Eddie Kingston style match. And here he is getting the opportunity to work with none other than the bad boy Joey Janela. This is another one of the long form matches, and you'll notice that whenever I'm highlighting matches these days, they are the longer form matches, and there's a reason for it. When you give people time to work, you get great results. And this is an 8.5 minute long match, and it feels just the way it should. It's a nice one. Kayla Rossi gets involved, as she will do now, and Hinkson is not amused during the course of this match that she's involved. But this was a good, solid match on a pretty stacked Dark card. And speaking of why it was so stacked, that turns towards our next match that stood out, and that is, of course, speaking of Jurassic Express, speaking of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, when they took on the Factory in Nick Camarado and QT Marshall. This was a good match where we got to see a lot of what makes our tag champions click and kind of what the Factory could be if they get more TV time. Now, I hear you. There are plenty of people who are groaning right now saying, why would we give the Factory more TV time? Well, Nick Camarado is a diamond in the rough. Aaron Solo is somebody who can be a solid guy for AEW in the time to come. And QT Marshall is somebody who, at the very least, people like to see get beat up. So they got things that work for them, all three of them. And I want to see how they can try to develop more. And this goes to what we were talking about where it comes to what is the importance of Dark, what is the importance of Elevation, and what we can do with two shows. The Factory can be a solid heel stable on Dark. That's not a bad thing. You need those kinds of stables. You need those kinds of teams. And if you have kind of a title situation, maybe, or not necessarily title situation, like a titles for Dark, tag titles, but you have competitive nature matches, then having them on Dark doesn't feel like any kind of demotion. It feels like a place where they are helping others and helping themselves to try to move up, if that makes sense. And finally, from that week of Dark, we know what stood out, and that's the main event. The main event here is Adam Page, our world champion, teaming up with his Dark Order friends, Allen Angels and 10, to take on Serpentico and the Hardy Family Office. This match goes pretty much as you would expect. There's no way our world champion is losing this match, but everybody kind of gets a good time to get their moveset in. This goes about 14 minutes long. Obviously, this was a aberration from a normal Dark card because of the fact that this was attached to Battle of the Belts. But you got to do what you got to do, and you got to put on a show for people. And Tony Khan is right to keep the cameras rolling and put it as part of Dark because we get to watch it now. And hey, we weren't there for Battle of the Belts, but we get to see everything that crowd sees, and that's kind of important to remind guys that no matter even if it's just a show, so to speak, a glorified house show, which is kind of what Battle of the Belts was, people are watching. And to be fair, a lot of times this is a lesson that I think if the talent has not gotten, it's not for lack of opportunity, because almost everything in AEW is televised. It's almost all of it's recorded. I can't really think of matches that aren't recorded, which is interesting. But having those matches be recorded just constantly ways to improve. And when we talk about improving, let's look at this next match. This is, it's blurry right here in this screenshot, but right here you can. Oh wait, no, it bounced all over. Here we go. In this screenshot, you can see it's none other than Adam Cole taking on Khan from Shane Taylor Promotions. And we talk about improving, and I gotta say, if you guys were watching what's called Fusion of Honor, you've seen me and Ness talk a lot about Khan and Moses, two members of Shane Taylor Promotions besides the aptly named Shane Taylor himself. And improving is something that Khan has done every single time he has been in front of me on my TV screen, whether it's computer or whatever you want to call the screen. And he has an opportunity here against Adam Cole, and he really does a great job. Check this match out if you get the opportunity. And it's really cool because it's, everything we've said about Ring of Honor, kind of falling to the wayside. We know they're coming back with Supercard. We know that Gresham is keeping the name alive, that Bandito is keeping the name alive as the kind of co-world champions. But it's up to the other guys to kind of figure out how they're going to fit in different places. And I know that Khan and Moses and Shane Taylor want to stay together as a unit, and that's important, and I really hope that they're able to pull that off. But when they get solo opportunities, they got to try to take advantage of it to continue to get their name out there and create moments like this where people like all of us are talking about Khan, talking about Moses, talking about Shane Taylor and O'Shea Edwards and what they bring to the table. So kudos to Khan for taking this moment, seizing it, running with it. That's what we like to see. And you got a sneak glimpse. You got to, or as this gentleman's partners would say, you got a little bit of taste. You got a taste of what our next match on Dark that stood out to me, and that was here Daniel Garcia. Oh my goodness, up against Anthony Green. This was just fantastic. This was a really, really good match. This one stood out to me a lot. It's not the main event, but a part of me feels like it should have been. Anthony Green has a really cool gimmick. And Daniel Garcia's character, my God, his gimmick is amazing. And he executes it flawlessly. His submission magician kind of just, I will bash your head. It's really what I wish Zack Sabre Jr. was a little bit more. And it's really cool to see it in somebody like Garcia who knows what he's doing and knows how to convey it properly. And that's not to take anything away from Zack Sabre Jr. It's just more like, it's more to say that I wish Zack's character was slightly different. That's really about it. But man, this was a phenomenal match. I put this over the main events, which was Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta against the Wingmen. But man, Garcia is on fire. And the promo afterwards, where he's saying he is coming for that TNT title, I believe him. I believe him, and not only do I believe him, I want him to have the title. That's like, I really want him to have the title. It's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in 2022. I think that he's going to be somebody who really, really helps AEW solidify their mid-card. And he is somebody who, gosh, I hope in 2023, 2024 is main event level challenging for the world title. Maybe he's got to put on a little bit of weight. Maybe it's got to be similar to New Japan, where, because I was talking about Zack Sabre Jr., where you have juniors, and then when they move to the heavyweight division, they do add muscle. They do add kind of that presentation aspect of what we expect a heavyweight champion to be. And maybe that's not what we think of when we think of Garcia right now, but pack on a little bit of muscle, and that mentality, that outlook will change for sure. And I hope to see him challenging for world titles sooner rather than later. But if he was going to challenge for some world titles, it's tough to challenge for that NWA world title. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, because the guy who holds that is a huge guy. Trevor Murdoch, our world champion, is incredibly powerful. And that's where we turn to the NWA. We turn to the NWA, and these two episodes, like I said, they're not, especially this week's episode, very, very light on storylines moving forward. Some good promos, but not too crazy when it comes to storylines moving forward. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened on NWA. And there we start with a fatal four-way. Well, actually, no, first we start with a Melina promo where Melina says she is the number one contender, but she doesn't want to be. Okay, so it's already off the rails. So basically, if I was following Melina correctly, she was saying she doesn't want to just be the number one contender because people feel sorry for her. But at the same time, she's saying that she should just be number one contender because she's a legend. She shouldn't have to earn it. So if you don't want people to be sorry for you, you would have to earn it. It doesn't. I get what she's saying in that she should just perennially be the number one contender until she gets the title and wins and beats Camille, but it comes across as annoying more than anything. Like, she comes across as whiny to me, and it's kind of funny because she's technically speaking supposed to be the face. So unless this is kind of a weird slow burn heel turn for her, where she just slowly becomes more and more annoying, and then finally we're just like, all right, we've had enough, and she herself snaps. And it's like, these youngsters, I'm the legend, blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, oh, okay, all right, makes sense. Like, unless that happens, it just kind of feels more and more annoying about it. Like, why would you? It's a level of cockiness. It's a level of hubris. And that's not to say that she isn't entitled to it, but it's not what you want from your babyface. You want babyfaces to be fighters, to be yeah, I didn't get the job done against Camille, but I will next time. And in order to get the next opportunity, I have to be able to beat these people. So you know what? I'm not gonna make excuses. I'm not gonna complain about things. I'm gonna go out there and get the job done. But who's gonna get the job done? Because she doesn't want to be number one contender unless she just is named number one contender. They're gonna have a fatal four-way match. And here we have Christy James taking on Genocide, Kenzie Page, and Kiera Hogan. It's a quick fatal four-way match. Kiera Hogan is going to come away with the win, and she is going to be our new number one contender to the Burke, going after Camille. Best of luck to her in these championship aspirations. When she won, I thought, okay, makes sense. She's probably the biggest name that they've got out of these four that they put there. Again, Kiera Hogan versus Camille is a really solid match. It'll continue to help Camille grow as a champion. But it's just interesting the number of opportunities that Kiera Hogan's getting. She took on Mickie James for the Impact title. She and Mickie James took on the Hex for the tag titles. And now she's getting this opportunity against the women's title. And as I said, this week's episode, we're a little bit more promo heavy. They're going to be talking about all that when we get to the second episode of this 2-week Dark Powerrr extravaganza. But let's talk about really quickly. There is a OGK Homicide Rebellion promo. Rebellion's kind of jaw-jacking back and forth with the OGK. One tag team has the gold. One tag team wants the gold. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. After this, we have a promo from Jax Dane, where he says, both Mims and Crimson, Anthony Mayweather, want a piece of me. So how about I give them this opportunity? They can face each other in a match, and the winner will get me. Makes sense. But both of these men, neither man wants to fight each other. So when Mayweather and Mims are taking on each other, they're talking about how Mims is Crimson's former student, the bond between the two of them. There are multiple times where Mims could potentially have the pin, but he won't pin Crimson. And Crimson is like, this is not what I taught you. And Mims correctly is stating, you need to beat Jax more than I do. You need to get this win over him more than I do. I don't know why. Don't let me stand in your way. And it drags on. Like, let me put it like this. This was a match that is going to eventually go to a count out, and Mims is going to lose by count out, letting Crimson get the future match against Jax Dane. This match goes 5 minutes and 7 seconds. The women's fatal four-way to determine the number one contender to the championship goes 5 minutes and 8 seconds. This thing dragged. There was no reason for this match to go this long. They could have, for whatever the story was that they wanted to tell, they could have told this story in 2 minutes at best and taken the other 3 minutes and given it to the women and let them have a little bit more of a fatal four-way match. It just felt a little heavy-handed, a little unnecessary, especially because we kind of knew where we were going with this. We know whether or not it's a pure student versus teacher match, Crimson should be the one who gets the win. And if we know that Mims is going to feel sorry for Crimson or whatever the case may be, or say that he doesn't deserve the match, not deserve, but he doesn't need the victory against Jack Stane that much, we still know that Crimson's going to win. Unless Mims is turning on his teacher and adding some kind of wrinkle to this, which doesn't make sense from immediately the get-go, this match does not need to be over 5 minutes long. That's that's damn near as long as a TV title match. A TV title match has a time limit of 6:05. This is 5 minutes and 7 seconds. It's a little ridiculous. I don't know who the producer is or who put this match together, but it's a little egotistical to me. Like, give somebody else the time. You don't really need it. And I'm talking about this way too much more than I need to. So let's move onwards. We have a promo from Cyan where he's talking about how he wants to fight. He's looking forward to fighting. And that he reminds us that he's the son of an NWA champion. I know that it's Robert Anthony under the mask. It's kind of obvious. Which NWA champion he's supposed to be the son of, we will find out. Probably not, though, because it's the NWA. And sometimes they just drop things without proper explanation. For example, actually, now that I think about it, why the hell did Crimson change his name to Anthony Mayweather with no explanation? There was somebody point me to the explanation as to why this dude stopped calling himself Crimson and started going by his actual birth name. I don't have an issue with it. I just want to know why. Like, what was the reasoning behind it? That should factor in. Like, if he was saying, I've gone by Crimson my whole life, my whole wrestling career, but I associate it with Jack Stane when our tag team, the War Kings, and I just want to show that this is a new me, so I'm going to call myself Anthony Mayweather now. Cool, I'm here for it. Awesome, let's go. But actually tell me that. Don't just be like, well, I'm going to be called Anthony Mayweather now. And there's no explanation as to why. But anyway, our next match is the Dirty Sexy Boys, JTG and Dango, taking on the Rude Dudes, Jamie Stanley and Sam Adonis. This was a pretty solid tag match, I gotta say. It's short. It's just under 6 minutes. It's 5 minutes, 51 seconds. But this was a really good tag match. I gotta say, this will be another one. You could have taken. I'm going back to that. But if that match, if the Mayweather Mims countout thing is 2 minutes long instead of 5:07, you could give a minute to the women, 2 minutes to this tag match. You could have flipped it. You could have given this one another minute. I would have rather watched more of this tag match with the Rude Dudes and Dirty Sexy Boys, which is incredible considering I've never been that high on the Rude Dudes. I would have rather seen that than Mims and Mayweather with this angst of, oh my God, I should let you pin me, but you just pin me. Why won't you pin me? I'm trying to do this for you so you can get vengeance on your old tag team. But this isn't the honorable way to do things, bruh. It's fucking dumb. Fucking dumb. Anyway, after this, we have an Aaron Stevens promo, which is absolutely hilarious. He does the war. What is it good for? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. It's actually pretty funny. But next we have a TV title match. Tyrus defeats Jaden Roller in under 3 minutes. It does whatever. It's just another way for them to stack wins for Tyrus as he gets towards lucky number 7. We have Cyan taking on Judias. He's going to beat Judias by disqualification in probably one of the best moments of the episode where Saul Renaro comes out and tries to get involved to help Judias. Judias and James Mitchell are like, no, we don't want you to. Then he forces himself in the match, causing the disqualification. And Judias and James Mitchell are just like, well, we lost by disqualification. Let's beat the shit out of Cyan. And Saul Renaro's like, yeah, we're going to beat the shit out of... Like, they're not mad at him for apparently costing Judias the match and apparently hurting Judias' chances of maybe getting a title shot or anything like that. It's weird, but it's hilarious, but it's also where we're going with the Saul Renaro thing. I just want to see him act like he's possessed and corrupted more. I think every episode should end now with a stinger of him just being out of crazy, out of his mind. Finally, in the main event, We have a triple threat tag team match. This is we're gonna see here where Cardona and Mike Knox take on Strictly Business, take on Tim Storm and Tom Latimer. This is basically a handicap match. It's really here for Cardona, Knox, and Strictly Business to beat up on Murdoch. Not Tim Storm and Latimer. Tim Storm and Trevor Murdoch. Latimer is a Strictly Business. Our world champion is going to lose this match, take the pin, but it kind of makes sense. But it's kind of weird. We hate when WWE does bad booking where the champion or any champion rarely seems dominant unless there's somebody like a Becky, a Charlotte, a Brock, a Roman. But a lot of times our mid-card champions get pinned, and that'll be how title matches just pop up, but that'll also be how they just make champions look weak and make championships look weak. And I'm not saying that I don't think that Tim Storm and Trevor's team should have lost, but I think maybe there could have been a better way to do it. I'm not sure what that way should have been, so I will cut Billy Corgan some slack. Because if Strictly Business had been pinned, I don't know how I would have felt about that. I feel like it needs to be team on team. It needs to be Cardona Knox pinning somebody from Tim Storm and Murdoch. But I don't know. It's an interesting main event. It's a quick main event as well. We do have quick matches on NWA Powerrr. But I got to say that overall the episode just kind of was there for me. And that's how we turn to this week's episode. I kind of was just like, all right, let's see what they got. Let's see what they got. And they instantly turned things around for me. First off, we have a weird-ass promo from Cyan saying that he's going to fight Sol Renaro. And at first I was like, I mean, Sol Renaro didn't really do much to you. Like, he caused a disqualification, but it's not really like he drank some weird-ass blood wine. Cut the man some slack. But Cyan's like, no, I want to beat this dude's ass because he cost me the match. It's like, all right, cool, whatever. I mean, you still won by disqualification, so I guess, doesn't make you happy. But all right, fine, whatever. And immediately after that, we go into a really solid women's match. And this is Allison K taking on Smiley Kylie Ray. This match is 5 minutes and 43 seconds long. Kylie Ray is going to win with a kind of a surprise, shocking roll-up pin. She's going to reverse a move, basically reverse submission. A good match. Very good. And it's going to be juxtaposed by the match that comes right afterwards. But right before we get into that, I just want to note that on commentary, Velvet Sky asked if this was a title match. Lest we forget, Allison K is a tag team champion. This is a singles match. Velvet did try to bail herself out by saying what she meant to say was, oh, well, if Kylie pins Allison K, then maybe she'll be able to get a tag title shot for her and Tootie Lynn. And it's like, sure, that's what you meant to say. All right. After this, we have Kiera and Camille cutting a promo. Like I pointed out earlier, May Valentine is going to correctly ask Kiera Hogan about all of her different opportunities. Kiera Hogan is going to rightly say, hey, can't win them all. All I can do is concentrate on winning the next one, which is important. And Camille is doing her character of I'm just above everything. And the way she is presented, it really is as though she is above everything. Can't fault her for it. So strong work there. Would have been a little bit cooler to see a little bit kind of back and forth more. But hey, number one contender, champion. Let's see when we're going to get this match. Next, we have Dirty Sexy Boys cutting a promo. This is going to venture into a little weird territory. Granted, this is the let's get weird thing that they're doing. But it's not. That's not what's going to make it weird. What's going to make it weird is that Yuma, Rush Freeman, and Alex Taylor show up and say that they have a match with Dirty Sexy Boys. And Dango says, well, it's not fair. 3 on 2 would be more fair. If you guys had 3 and we had 2. And it could be any 3. And so I think it's Rush or Taylor's like, wait. You said any 3? And Dango's like, yeah, I said any 3. And so they're like, all right, cool. We'll be back. And that's going to lead into some shenanigans later. And finally, we have a promo with Homicide and Rebellion where it's just basically like a champion promo kind of thing. Homicide's like, I want to be junior heavyweight champion. This whole, like, it's building towards, I think, a match with OGK, but we'll see how all of that shakes out. Our next actual match is our next actual match is with Maddie Rankowski and Molina, and it's gonna go 4 minutes and I think it was like 40 seconds. But this match just was kind of just like, all right, cool. I think it suffered from was being the first match that we saw after Allison K and Kylie Ray. Like, Kylie Ray is a solid talent. Obviously, we know I'm a Kylie Ray mark. She's a former Warrior Wrestling Women's Champion. She was #1 contender for the Impact Knockouts Championship before she needed to take a break. Allison K is a former Impact Knockouts Champion, is a former NWA Women's Champion. Maddie Rankowski and Molina are not that. So what I would have done was I would have flipped this match with the match that's going to come right after it, because the match that comes right after it is where we see the Fixers come out with Rush Freeman to take on the Dirty Sexy Boys in a handicap match. And they point out that what Dango and JTG said was any 3 of you, but they didn't necessarily specify that it had to be 3 of the people standing right in front of them. So, okay, cool. We can sub in and out. And this is a quick tag match, which kind of makes sense. It's a 3 on 2. The Fixers just clean house on our poor JTG and Dango. This was a pretty good match. Rush Freeman tags in at the very end to get the pin for the Ill Begotten, so they technically won. But see, what I would have done was I would have put, because of that promo, I would have had the promo, then had the match. Well, no, I would have changed the order of the promos. I would have started with that promo, then done Kiera Hogan and Camille, then done Homicide Rebellion, and then had the match. So there's a little bit of time, so it makes sense that they went to the back to find the Fixers and pay them off. Then after that, I would have had Molina and Maddie Rankowski have their match. Anyway, we have Taryn and Genocide and Paola have a quick promo. Taryn gets Genocide and Paola to apologize to each other for all the issues that have been happening. We have a solid Idolmania promo from Tyrus where he is an idiot. It's okay, all right. I just said it was solid. It's solid in how he conveyed what he was trying to say. He's an idiot because what he was trying to say in the beginning made absolutely no sense. Kyle was asking him, he said, you're getting close to the lucky number 7, which is where if you have 7 successful title defenses, you can go after the world champion. And then Tyrus is like, we talk about lucky. I'm going to hold this title until I damn well please. It's like, he's not saying that, he wasn't saying that your title defenses have been lucky. He's saying that once you get to 7, you become lucky because you get to vacate the title to go after the world title. But Tyrus really, I guess, wasn't paying attention, or he was just thinking about Fox Business Channel and whether or not his paycheck's going to clear from Fox. Don't worry, it will. They're a giant corporation. Focus on what's in front of you, which is cutting a solid promo. So after this, we have, we have Rodney Mack and Crimson have a promo. Okay, so part of what Jack Stain said last week was he was making fun of Anthony Mayweather, Crimson, and he was making fun of Jazz. And Rodney Mack, her husband, did not take kindly to that, came out and socked Jack Stane in the face. Okay. Good. Nothing really of importance there. Rodney Mack here now during this promo is basically saying, I'll beat the shit out of Jack Stane next time I see him. All right, cool. And Crimson, or Anthony Mayweather, as he is now called, is saying, hey, Jack Stane is an asshole, which he is. Then some dude shows up with paperwork and is like, can I get a picture with you? And they're like, bro, this is a TV show. Like, what are we doing? And he's like, no, can I just get a picture with you real quick? And as soon as the guy starts taking the picture, I'm like, because as you guys know, I do have a legal background. I'm a lawyer. I'm like, oh shit, he's trying to serve this dude. He's trying to serve him some process of a lawsuit or some kind of TRO or something like that. Sure enough, he's like, yeah, you've been served. This is a restraining order against from Jack Stane against you. And it's this whole long litany list of things that Crimson can't do in relation to Jack Stane. Now, here's a couple reasons why this is funny. One of the things that Crimson can't do is mention Jack Stane by name. The first thing he does when he's saying, like, I'm angry that I've been served with this restraining order, is to say Jack Stane's name. And the guy standing there, who is the process server, but then allegedly is the lawyer as well, no lawyer is actually doing the process serving. I just hate to break it to you. I mean, like, I don't even know if that's not bursting anyone's bubble. No lawyer's doing the fucking process serving. You hire somebody to do that. You're way too busy to go out and serve somebody. But anyway, let's assume that this lawyer doesn't have much business. So he's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna do the process serving myself. Anyway, so he's standing there. He's not gonna be like, hey, you just violated the restraining order. And then the other thing is this: between Mayweather and Rodney Mack, which one of them punched you in the jaw last week and knocked you out, basically? It was Rodney Mack. Who's the guy you put the restraining order against? Anthony Mayweather, for some reason. Now, the only thing that saves this is because Mayweather actually has earned a match against Jack Stane. So how is he supposed to have the match what was the entire point of Mims' sacrifice and Mims losing by countout over 5 minutes and 7 seconds for Jack Stane to now put the goddamn restraining order up there? It should have been 2 minutes. Then you do the restraining order. And then next week we do something or other to figure some shit out. I don't know. Maybe Rodney Mack is now the person who's going to take on Jack Stane in order to give Jack Stane his comeuppance. I got to say, Jack Stane, very brave man. He is pissing off as many people as he can. But hey, he's finding ways to get out of having to take them on. And that leads us to our main event. During the Idolmania promo, Tyrus says that Jordan Clearwater and Marsha Rocket are going to be Idolmania Sports Management's Church Money Enterprises tag team. And here they have a tag team match against Hawks Aerie. This is a nice tag match, I got to say. 6 minutes, 30 seconds. This was a good tag match. Hawks Aerie have a father-son bond and an actual tag team bond, so they pick up the win. It makes sense. A part of me kind of wishes that the heels have won, but okay, all right, sure. Well, I'll give it to you. It's kind of funny because Hawks Aerie, remember, they were the runners-up in that tournament, the tag title tournament that the end ended up winning. It feels as though they're keeping them in the mix for tag title gold, and I kind of like that. And it just kind of, I think it's going to be fun if Jordan Clearwater and Marsha Rocket always lose and Tyrus always wins, and it's just this huge juxtaposition for what's going on in Idolmania management. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. I know this was an extra long episode. We had a lot to catch up on. But thank you again for tuning in. Remember, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe if you have not already. Until next time, remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and